I don't know where you come from. I don't know where you're going. I only know the healing starts when we all stop running for love to come and unlock every door. It takes you and me to open up once more and learn to trust again.
Thank you, Connie. Good morning, everyone. Today is, I just have to start, I think, by saying I am in an emotional place. I know that many of you are feeling the same. There's a lot going on in our world today, and I think I want to start with this. This is from this month's May-June Daily Word. And this was actually for Thursday, May 14th, but it's what I opened to when I opened the book this morning, and you may join me in being surprised at how appropriate it is for where we are. It starts with, "In the stillness I listen. When the world is rife with clamorous noise and chatter, I may become distracted from purposeful activity. My energies may be dissipated as I listen to gossip, dissect the news of the day, worry about the stock market, or fret over other matters. In my inner sanctuary, I find comfort and solace, taking time to go to a quiet place, breathing deeply, stilling all thought, and releasing worry, concern, or attachment. I create a sacred space to listen. In the silence, I surrender my worries and wants to the grace and peace I need, which I find within. As I listen, I build my trust in the divine. My faith is renewed as I absorb all that I have received in silent contemplation. I return to my activities refreshed and refocused." So I don't know about you guys, but I didn't sleep very well last night. I was awake from about 4:30 to 5:30, 4 o'clock to 5:30, something like that, just thinking about what's happening in our world and wondering how I would talk about it this morning, wondering how we would step into this time together. Would we step into this time in fear? Or would we step into this time in love? From where will we begin this morning? My hope is that we step in from love. My awareness is that there is fear even in my own heart. So there must be for you as well. So I want to invite you to use this time that we have together this morning for radical transformation, to allow this time to be a time that turns your heart from fear to love. How is it that we will respond when it looks like the world around us is coming apart? How is it that we will move forward when the challenges feel overwhelming, because we are already challenged beyond what we could imagine, and we have been for many weeks? Who will we be right now in this time? So it's interesting to me that this is the week that, as we move through pillars of connection, we come to a pillar called trust. Who will we be in this moment when it comes to trust? Who will we trust? I invited you guys to look at your own soul this week, to ask yourself, who do you really trust? Who do you really trust? Who are the people in your life? If you're like me, there are lots of people I love, lots of people I embrace, lots of people I involve in my life. But when it comes to really trusting, really bringing people into my inner heart, there are a select few who I would tell anything. There are a select few who I know will love me no matter what. And I could share the deepest secret of my soul, and they would be available to me. They would hear me without judgment. It's important to know who we trust. When the world is like it is today, sometimes we need to converse with the people that we trust. We need to be in our vulnerable, soft, easy space. Today, I want to start a two-part series. We're going to talk about trust next week as well. Next week, we're going to talk about trust with each other and self-trust. But today I want to talk about the trust that I think is the most important trust we can have right now, in this moment, and every single day of our lives. And that is our trust of the divine. Our ability to really trust. So I want you to think about these questions. I want you to consider whether or not you trust the divine to guide and inspire your life. I want to ask you if you live in the temple where you can communicate with the divine, or if you live up here in your head. Or maybe it's a combination of both. And I want to ask you if you make time to listen. Do you have a regular practice that gives time to making time for the holy, to making time for that guidance? So we're going to do this in a new way today. I'm going to, right now, launch a poll. And I think, can you see that on your screen right now? I want you to just jump in and choose your answers. You might have to be able to annotate. I don't know. Can you answer? Nod for me. Yes. Okay. Go ahead and answer. And there are all three questions around the screen. Do you trust the holy to always be present, to guide and inspire your life? Are you in the habit of listening with your mind, body, and soul for the holy to guide you? And do you dwell in the temple, or do you live in your head, or in a combination of both? If you are on the phone, you may not be able to see this. All right, it's telling me that 0 of you can see it, but I'm seeing some people nod their head that they can. Yes, you can see it, Connie, or no, you can't see it? No, you cannot see it. All right. Not sure why that is. Still can't hear you, Connie. I'm sorry.
There we are. I actually saw it and I already completed it. I love a good test.
Okay, good. I'm glad you saw it. That's good. I can see it.
Now the mother nod is up.
Yes, the poll is right in front of it. I'm going to give you a couple more minutes, or a couple more seconds. If you haven't answered, that's all right. And we're going to do end poll and see what happens. Which for me is nothing. It did not give me the results. All right. Well, I
I
guess
can
I'll.
see the results, Ariana.
Oh, good. Awesome. So maybe it's just showing on your screen, Chris. Can you share the results with me?
Absolutely. So for the first question, number 1, do you trust the holy and to always be present to guide and inspire your life? We had 79% say yes, 21% said no. Are you in the habit of listening with your mind, body, and soul for the holy to guide you? We had 71% say yes and 29% say no. And then do you dwell in your temple body or do you live in your head in the temple? We had 7%. In my head, we had 14%. And a combination of both, we had 49%.
All right. That's not bad, guys. And we did our first poll. Look at that. Very good. Yay. Okay, so let's talk about these things. I would like you to go to the bottom of your screen and you'll see an icon that says participants. If that is not already open on your screen, go ahead and click it, because on that screen, once you open it, and this may not be true if you're on the phone, but if you are not on the phone, you should be able to raise your hand if you open that participant box. So I would like someone who says that they do trust the divine to be present and guide them. I would like someone who has that. You're raising your hand before you know what the question is, but that's all right. That's good. So my question is, how do you know, those of you who are already trusting the divine every day to guide you, how do you know that the indwelling divine is present? How do you know that the indwelling divine is present? And I'm going to start with Sylvia Strickland. I'm going to unmute you, Sylvia. I think. Chris, you may have to do it. And Sylvia, will you share with us how you know the indwelling divine is present?
I know the divine is present by different synchronicities, by primarily through my dreams when I seek guidance. I get that in dreams. The first time I realized how present the Holy Spirit was with me was when I didn't know what the best source of iodine for me was in the health food store. So I looked at kelp and wondered, just what would be the best potato peelings boiled or whatever. And so the next morning when I woke up, there was a big room service tray out in the hall in my dream. And there were shrimp shells and lobster shells. And I said, oh, the best source of iodine for me is seafood, especially shellfish. And so along through my life, from the first time I meditated with a group, I have just been very aware of the presence of the divine with me, guiding me. Sometimes it's through a repetition of what other people say, or, like if I hear twice or three times about what a great book that is, I feel like that's guidance for me to know. 3 weeks ago, a friend reiterated a statement she had made to me 2 or 3 years before. You should write a book on suicide. You know more about suicide than anybody. And I'm going, oh my goodness, she just doesn't know how little I know. But 2 weeks ago, she dreamt she should tell me that. And so I decided to take that as my new calling. Excuse me for taking so long.
No, thank you. So what I'm hearing from you is synchronicity. That synchronicity shows you answers as they come from spirit. So thank you, Sylvia.
My pleasure.
Marlene, will you share with us a little bit about, and I will ask everyone to give, we have about 4 people, so we want to make sure we get through everybody. Marlene?
Thank you. Um, it's a feeling, it's a knowing, it's that inner voice that's always directing me. And it's like I pace my life so that I have time and space. I am very conscious of that. And a couple years ago in my own life, I went through uh, the death of my partner and lots of changes. And I got to the point where I could do nothing other than trust. I had to surrender and trust to the divine. And that was one of the most humbling experiences I'd ever imagined. And it was because of that experience that I know now that trusting and surrendering is the only way to fly. Why argue with it? And the point is, it's that feeling in my chakra system, that sense of content, that sense of peace, that sense of balance. And when that's out of whack, I need to stop, breathe, and get realigned. So thank you.
Thanks, Marlene. I'm going to take one more. April, will you tell us about how you know?
Hi. It's usually a feeling that I get. I get a feeling in my chest when I know that the divine is trying to tell me something. I'll get inspired, or I'll just have an idea and I just get like this, almost like a leap in my chest. And I'm like, oh, okay. Or a song will play, or a saying will just pop into my head. That wasn't like, I don't know, it's just a very spontaneous, for instance, on my meditation that I had a couple days ago, a saying just popped into my head, and it kept saying it, to the place I was before, to the place I was before. And I was like, what the heck is it? What are you trying? I'm still trying to figure out what it was, by the way. But, it's just things like that just out of the blue will just come up. And I just thank the divine, like, thank you. I don't know what it means, but thank you.
Thank you. So you hear a couple of different things here, right? So one is synchronicity, another is a feeling, this feeling that comes up. For me, things come in, I often will refer to a drop-in. Something comes into my consciousness as a full knowing rather than a small thought or a series of thoughts. I can tell I didn't reason something out, that the answer came to me. It's just important to pay attention. This question about living in the temple that I asked you is a little bit of a trick question. It's a trick question because living in the temple, it's kind of impossible to separate your consciousness from your body. These things all exist in the same space. So most of us are going to end up living in both of these things. What we pay attention to is the question. Do you pay attention to your mind, or do you pay attention to your body? I wanted you to be able to answer that question because I want you to choose the one you pay the least attention to this week and use that tool. So if you are a person who relies on spirit to give you a feeling, I want you to listen for words and to use your eyes and to watch your consciousness, to observe the direction your consciousness moves, and allow your consciousness to be a way that the Holy can communicate with you. If you are a person who feels it or who thinks about it and hears it, like April was saying that she actually hears words, is aware of them, I want you to get really down into your body this week and notice how you feel when you ask a question, when you're looking for guidance. Really, really settle into the body as the temple of the holy. We say this thing in Unity. We name the divine as the indwelling divine. But we also use this statement where we say, in whom we move and in whom we live and move and have our being. The holy, in whom we live and move and have our being. And you'll hear that statement across New Thought. You may hear it in a more traditional Christian environment because it's a statement from the book of Acts, from Acts 17, that refers to living in the Spirit of Christ, in whom we live and move and have our being. But interestingly, remember when I told you there are universal truths? There are things that come from so much farther back that we don't even know, but when we come across a universal truth, it's an indication that this is something we can really pay attention to, something we can really look at. So this particular statement, even though it is registered in the book of Acts, originates much farther back than that. It comes from a poem called the Cretica by Epimenides, and it is a statement, a prayer that was made to Zeus. And the prayer goes like this. It says, "They fashioned a tomb for you, holy and high one. Cretans, always liars, evil beasts, idle bellies. But you are not dead. You live and abide forever. For in you we live, move, and have our being." So when I see things like that, kind of like what April was saying about the words that show up for her, that she just sits with the words and waits. To talk about the holy in whom we live, move, and have our being is, I think, an important thing right now. There is an indwelling awareness. There is also the holy we are and the holy that is all that we see, all that is around us, every manifestation of life and being that exists in everything we encounter. So right now in our world, we are in turmoil. Right now in our world, we are hurting, we are aching, we are saddened, we are frustrated, we are angry. We are traumatized by things that we have seen, and we are confused about why these things continue to happen, and we're uncertain about what we do. Last night about 10 o'clock, maybe it was a little earlier than that, it was before the 10 o'clock news. I had seen a few things show up on social media that were pictures from downtown, from what was going on in Colorado Springs, and a few videos about what was going on in Denver. Other places in the world, I'm sure that you saw them as well. And for a moment, I felt really lost in what to do. I have no idea what to do. In that moment, I especially had no idea what to do. And this question came back to me, will I approach this from fear, or will I approach this from love? And the answer easily is love, isn't it? I will approach this from love. So what does love do in a moment like now? What does love do? For me, last night, late in the evening, love meant reaching out to friends who are people of color, reaching out just to say, I am here, I don't know what to do except to tell you I love you, and I am thinking about you, and I am praying for you, and I am here. And over time, perhaps I'll figure out what the next step is. But for tonight, I want you to know that I'm thinking about you, and that you're in my prayers, and I care about you. That was the best I had last night, gang. This is hard, isn't it? There's a whole exploration of who we are, and the majority of our community is very white. There's a very big question for us about who we will be, about how we change, about what we're being called into in this moment of radical transformation, when the world around us is torn open anyway. We were torn open before all of the events that have happened recently. We were torn open in isolation. We were torn open in sadness and sorrow, in our loneliness, in our inability to connect with one another personally. We were torn open in watching the loss, in the losses that we've experienced ourselves. And then this happened. I don't know how it is for you, but what I can tell you for me is sometimes in order to really get a lesson, I get it when I'm the most torn open, because I don't have the strength to resist. I don't have the strength to put it to the side. I can't compartmentalize what I'm seeing. I can't compartmentalize what I'm feeling. It's all very real and it comes to the surface, and I feel very vulnerable, and I feel literally open, as though somebody had pulled my chest open and my heart is on the outside of me. And I think right now that's an okay feeling. What kept me awake last night was thinking to myself, I have 4 sons. If the color of their skin was different or the circumstance we're seeing was reversed, how would it feel to be worried about the safety of my 4 children? How would I feel? And that feeling was so intense for me that it kept me awake. It kept me awake, and it brought out in me something different. Maybe for the first time, I'm feeling something I was never raw enough to have come so much to the surface. Maybe you're having a similar experience. The message this morning is trust. The message first is, how do we trust that we are guided and inspired by the Holy? How do we allow the Holy to lead in this moment? If we know that the Holy is love, how do we allow that healing that we need to come from the Holy as love rather than fear? How do we allow ourselves to know that every manifestation we're seeing is somehow the Holy expressing? Even in its darkest manifestation, we are seeing the Holy. We might be in question of that, because the truth is, when it comes to what is holy and sacred, to what we know, the God of our knowing, we have a lot to learn, don't we? We don't know all of this stuff. We don't know why this is happening the way it is. We don't know why it has to happen the way it is. And for a lot of us, this seems completely unreasonable. Why can't we just talk to one another and work through our differences and live from love? Clearly, as a society, we're not there yet. I would like to believe that what's happening right now has the potential to be a miracle. That what's happening right now has the potential to move enough people in a powerful enough way that we can see real, true, honest change. That the world after this time will look different because we allowed ourselves to feel this. We allowed ourselves to ask who we will be in this moment, because we moved forward from this moment in curiosity and conviction that the world could be different, because God is our superpower. God, by whatever name you want to use, the holy, love, the universe, whatever it is that is the right word for you, however you express that divine sense of the sacred, that's your superpower for right now. It's that superpower that we use to listen, to be guided, and to take the next steps. Some of those steps might be just reaching out to people you love, just connecting. There are many, many classes being offered right now, many leaders stepping up and offering to help us go deeper into a conversation. about our racial biases, about white fragility, about what's happening. There are many, many ways for us to move forward. Not all those ways are for everyone. Right now, we need to listen. We need to listen to the heart of the holy and follow what is calling us. It may just be yours to be a good friend. My son is downtown standing in the protest line this morning. You may be called to stand and hold a sign. It may be yours to take a class and learn more. Whatever it is, we are here today in this present moment, right now, together, and something powerful and transformative is happening. And it's not happening to us, it's happening through us. So I am calling your great strength forward. I'm calling your miracle self, your holy, sacred center forward. I know that there are some of you that have other things going on in your life. I know we have people in the hospital. I know that we have people who are struggling with other kinds of loss. I know we have people facing challenges. This may not be your time to step forward. That's okay. But if it is your time, and if you feel called, if you feel moved and itchy and uncomfortable in your skin because you're being changed, I want to invite you to let that happen, to trust the holy, to truly, truly trust that what is happening right now is not only for the good of you and the good of me, but more importantly, for the good of the most vulnerable amongst us. And let us be the foundation of love as this transformation occurs. I'm grateful to have the chance to talk to you about this. I'm grateful that we are living in a time where we can address the world around us immediately, where we don't have to be afraid to say what is true for us. I'm grateful to say Black Lives Matter and not water that down in the least. I'm grateful to have a community that cares about its people. So I invite you to take a moment today to consider where you are in all of this, to consider what is yours to do, to consider coming from love, and if in your heart what you're feeling is fear, to take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply. Feel yourself in your body. Feel yourself all the way down to your toes. Feel the blessing of this body. The blessing that you are in this form. And feel the holy that moves through you and as you. And then allow yourself to expand from your body out so that you can feel more than just the indwelling divine, so that you can feel the divine beyond you, in whom you move and live and have your being. Allow your consciousness to move out into that holy, sacred field that connects us all. Because truly there is nothing and nowhere that God is not. This holy presence is in us, moves as us, and moves beyond us as the very air between us. It's what we breathe and what we share and how we connect. There is nothing but the holy in this place and in this time and in this moment. And if we can breathe that out and in every day and remember who we really are, we can change things, beginning with ourselves. So breathe. In this quiet moment, just breathe.
The secret of life is enjoying the passage of time. Any fool can do it. There ain't nothing to it. Nobody knows how we got to the top of the hill. But since we're on our way down, we might as well enjoy the ride. The secret of love is in opening up your heart. It's okay to feel afraid, but don't let that stand in your way. 'Cause anyone knows that love is the only road. And since we're only here for a while, we might as well show some style. Give me a smile, isn't it a lovely ride? Sliding down, gliding down. Try not to try too hard, it's just a lovely ride. Now the thing about time is that time isn't really real. It's just your point of view. How does that feel for you? Einstein said he could never understand it all. Planets spinning through space, that smile upon your face. Welcome to the human race, some kind of lovely ride. Oh, we'll be sliding down, gliding down. Try not to try too hard, it's just a lovely ride. Isn't it a lovely ride? See us sliding down, gliding down. Try not to try too hard. It's just a lovely ride. Now the secret of time.
Thank you, Connie.